Hey everyone, Margarita here. I want to talk in this video real quick a little bit about the missing stolen trust fund that I have and the amount of assets that my mother's been siphoning from it and stealing from my dad as well after she fraudulently cashed out his 401k in January of 2024 after she attempted to finish him off so he would no longer be here. So there's several problems with what has gone on here. Because I have talked to many people along the way trying to explain that her power of attorney was fraudulent and I can prove it. And every single person is so stupid that not one of them was comprehending anything I was saying or even willing to listen to reality or allow me to present the proof. So I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, well, she's his wife. She can cash it out. No, she can't. You can't attempt to kill someone and then 10 days later cash out their 401k. And they had a fight about it the night before because she thought it was hundreds of thousands of dollars when it was actually under $100,000. So right there, that's an issue. Again, we have Charmaine, who's been documenting all of these ongoing crimes that my mother's been at the root of for over 6 years now, long before my dad's injury. She has all of this documented along the way of everything we've talked about, keeping up with every aspect of what's gone on all along. So there's also text between my parents in the beginning of my dad's injury, which you can, when he was fully with it at this time, you can clearly see that he's telling her that his money is his money and her money is her money. And you can tell between the texts over some time that she has no idea anything about their finances or what's going on. And based on their texts earlier on in his injury, you can tell at no time was she supposed to be cashing it out. And you also cannot attempt to finish somebody off to collect their assets. Going back even further, that fraudulent power of attorney was signed a couple months before that. She still did not present the power of attorney to the 401k companies. She just cashed it out online and they mailed her the check. So with that fraudulent power of attorney, I have enough proof to prove it was fraudulent because there was a police report made 2 days in advance of her getting it signed, stating he was not well enough to sign this. And we've been talking about it since the beginning of his injury, and I'd been carrying around these documents for months. Also, I've released the state of my dad's being on the day that it was signed, and that's in the Detective Mike Ramsey Promises My Mother False Fraud Charges on Me video part 1. And you can tell he's not in a place to be signing a power of attorney. He's not even coherent. So in order to get a power of attorney signed, somebody has to be mentally with it. They can't have serious injuries where they don't even realize that they're signing it. That's not a legit power of attorney. When I got my real one signed 6 months later, he was a lot more with it. Even though he wasn't in a good place all around, it was the best we were going to get because my mother was repeatedly attempting to finish him off so he would no longer be here, which is why there was an urgency on me getting this signed. And upon me getting it signed, it busted open many of the other crimes she has participated in within 24 to 48 hours of me having it. At no time did I do anything fraudulent with it. I used it for the matters in which it should have been used for. So you can clearly tell by the state of his being on the day that it was signed that he was not in a place to sign it. There's also the notary that I hired to have my power of attorney signed 6 months later, who had a full-blown conversation with my dad for an hour, and she can back up that he was definitely with it and understanding what was going on. They even talked about how my mother fraudulently cashed out his 401k, and they had their own conversation about it. I didn't participate in the conversation. I was just in the room listening. So her statement was also in one police report, possibly two. It was for sure mentioned in the Romulus police report, but I'm not sure if it was mentioned in the Brownstown police report because I know they did speak with her. But Brownstown has altered the records that they had given me access to in order to help cover up the crimes that they've been participating in against me long term. So I'm not sure if she actually talked to them or I know she talked to them, but I'm not sure if she actually, if they made those statements within a written report or not. So, the day that my mother had signed those power of attorneys, she never told anybody she ever had them. And The reason for that is because she knew she slipped them in and my dad had no idea he signed them. And that's why she never told anybody. She only turned around and gave copies to the long-term care facility that he was at. She never presented them anywhere else until 6 months later, after I had presented them several places to start getting matters in order. That's when she finally popped up and started showing them to people. So when that happened, she started telling everyone she's had them all along. Oh no, here they are. I've had them all along. See, look at the date on them. No one's listening to anything I'm saying, and that I can prove that he was not with it to be signing those documents on that day, and I have plenty of proof. There's numerous forms of proof. And because every person is ignorant and everybody operates on her delusions and participates in the crimes against me, every person continued to ban me from my dad at the care facility, believing I had fraudulent documents signed when hers are fraudulent. You wouldn't just get them signed and then not tell anybody you had them, or not get his affairs in order. And seeing as how she cashed out his 401k in January of 2024, by the time I got mine signed at the end of April 2024, she should have definitely presented them to the banks and been paying off the different debts that he had, which was over $13,000. And she never attempted to do so because she had no intention on him living, and she had no intention of paying the debts off because she was intending on taking all of that money for herself and running off to California, and that was going to be that. So now there's several months had gone by. She had plenty of time to do those things. That's what a power of attorney is to be used for. She never did that. So that's more proof in itself of what was going on. Now, I had talked to many different people: Adult Protective Services, Megan Kinder, Romulus Police, Brownstown Police, 2 different banks, PNC Bank in Brownstown, and the credit union that my dad was at in Brownstown as well. I can't think of the name of it. But all of those banks, the community focused, the credit union, they did believe me to have power of attorney. That's how they viewed it. And I warned them in advance of her escapades and crimes. So they didn't think anything I did was fraudulent. They were already aware of everything I already told them, and they knew that there may be a fishy situation with how she operates. They did know that. So they just shut it down. They had no intention of charging me with anything. They didn't believe I did anything wrong. And the other bank, PNC, they began operating on my delusional mother's crimes and everything that was going on. And then Detective Mike Ramsey going in there and him telling them more delusions about me and growing this false report, building this false case on me. And they all participated in that. So the reason for that was because he was helping my mother gain access to the rest of my missing stolen trust fund, attempting to have me locked up, and that's how they were going to access it. So he was participating in the crimes against me as well. Now, one person allowed me to submit the proof or show the proof that I have all of this proof, all these different forms of proof, that he had no idea he signed it. And you can't have a power of attorney on somebody without them knowing that they signed it. They have to be with it to get a power of attorney signed. They can't just not know that they signed it and it's effective. That's not how power of attorneys work. So every person who was told this information refused to look into any of it. So that goes for everybody at Special Tree Spinal Care Facility, all the different police departments, all the people who've helped participate in this, Adult Protective Services, more than one person. Megan Kinder was part of it, and then there was more than one person involved in that. And then there was people at U of M Ann Arbor who also participated in that. Several people there out of their social services department and out of the emergency department, the old lady who basically told me she's going to allow my mother to continue poisoning my dad and allow him to keep getting rushed back to the hospital, and they're not going to do anything about it. And all of the people in the main department that I initially went to talk to, and every person ignored my phone calls and refused to talk to me. So there's many people who participated in all of this and completely ignored reality, refusing to look at any of it, just believing all the delusions coming out of her mouth, which in turn, all this is going on so she can access my missing stolen trust fund, or what's left of it that she hasn't stolen. So when it comes to the people who helped him sign these power of attorney documents, I believe that was my dad's brother, and I believe it was Terry Knorr from North Star Care Management, who is the nurse care manager in charge of my dad's workers' comp claim and his care. She had been participating in the crimes and helping my mother carry all of this out from the very beginning of his injury. And I tried to tell her everything from the very beginning, and she jumped right on my mother's team and started participating against me right away. And the attorney who was also the notary who helped was Jaime Fergus of Shea Law. So all of those people are responsible for allowing my dad to sign these documents when he only thought he was signing documents to get the work on his house done. That's what he thought he was signing. Now, if that's all he signed and none of these fraudulent documents were signed because it was a medical power of attorney, a financial power of attorney, and a quitclaim deed signing the rest of the house over to my mother, if he had only signed to get the work done on the house, that would have been a little more acceptable. But that's not what happened. And I guarantee that Jaime Fergus did not read what my dad was signing out loud the way the notary that I hired did. So because he continued to tell me that he never had one signed, he knows he's never signed one. This came out of his mouth many times throughout the course of his injury, from the very beginning all the way until I got the ones signed, which were the legit ones that he knew he signed. This was gone over many times, and it was spoken to about at many different hospitals upon him arriving at many different hospitals from the beginning of his injury so that was January 2023 all the way to April 2024. If you look back at his records, he's stating that he never had one signed previously. So he does not know he signed one. All these people helped get this signed to help my mother get the house out of my dad's name, half of it out of my dad's name, into her name, so she could then move it into trust for herself and then finish him off and take his 401k. So that's what they all participated in. And they did not do things correctly, because you can't have those documents signed if he's not aware he signed them. What she did was she mixed it in with the documents to do the work on the house, and she passed them around the room. So each person involved signed these documents. Nobody read them out loud. My dad just assumed he was signing for work to be done on the house. And they each just passed them around the room and helped participate in the crimes and helped my mother commit fraud. And then also, I spoke with Jaime Fergus of Shea Law at one point about 2 years ago, because then I was able to, when my dad came to enough, I was able to talk to him about everything that was going on. Because after this happened, she then kept getting him rushed back to the hospital. At the same time, she was attempting to have me permanently banned from him, which she had been working on for over 6 months at that point. She'd been working on it for about 8 to 10 months already. So I had spoken to her at one point, and I was able to ask my dad if he wanted me to look into this matter, because he knew he didn't sign off on the deed to his house either. I talked to him about all of these matters, and that's where I was able to hunt down Jaime Fergus and figure out that she is the one who helped do all this. Now, she must have believed all of my mother's delusions about me, telling her that I had this mental disorder, this drug problem. She raised my kids and all this bullshit, because you could tell that the woman was confused about some of the things I was saying, and you could tell that she just thought I was lying, because my mother tells everybody that I just lie so much. I lie about everything. You can't believe anything I say. So when I was living in reality, speaking in reality to her about things that were going on in my real life, and telling her I've achieved way more than my mother in life, and I've already died and came back twice without medical intervention, and my affairs have been in order because of this, you could tell she thought I was making up the things that I was saying, that I have done very well for myself in life. So you could tell by what she was saying over the phone that she believed all my mother's delusions about me. And now that I know what I know today, and I've gathered even more information, that is where my mother moved the 401k that she stole from my dad. That is where she moved the house into trust. She took all that, moved it into trust at Shea Law with Jaime Fergus. And that also means that she must have moved some of the lump sums that she was able to siphon from my missing stolen trust fund would also be in that same spot. So now this woman and Shea Law have also helped participate in stealing some of my missing stolen trust fund, because I'm 100% sure that's where my mother moved it to, because I was able to verify that that is where my dad's stolen assets are, which is also where my stolen assets are. So now we've got Shea Law and Jaime Fergus, my dad's brother, Terry from North Star Care Management. All of these people have helped participate in these ongoing crimes against me. So that is where some of my money is being held. And I have tried calling back 2 additional times. I'd say about 6 to 8 months ago. Within the last 6 to 8 months, I've called 2 additional times. Can't get anybody to call me back. And it's because Jaime Fergus of Shea Law believes all the delusions my mother told her about me, that she's had custody of my kids, she'd raised them all these years, somebody left me a sum of money when I was a small child, and it rightfully belongs to her because I'm just this hot mess, mental disorder, drug addict, running the streets, nowhere to be found. She believed everything that she was told about me. So the woman must have thought I was just lying about the reality and the things I have going on in reality when I was explaining to her over the phone what I have going on, and the fact that my dad did not authorize my mother to move any funds into 401k, and he didn't even know he signed a power of attorney. So she didn't admit that she did those things, but she said enough for me to understand that that is where the stolen assets are being held. So that means some of my stolen money is being held at Shea Law, with Jaime Fergus is the one who set it up. So now today is May 4th, 2026. I'm going to release this video today on YouTube. So once people start viewing this video, if those funds are moved or that account is closed and everything is moved somewhere else, that is more proof of the crimes going on. Because I have a feeling once I release this video, because there are people who participated in these crimes in the background scrambling to cover their tracks of what they participated in, that it's a high possibility that my mother may try to close all that down and move it somewhere else to where it can't be found. So if that account is closed and she moves this trust account that she created with all these stolen assets that she collected from my dad and I, then that's more proof of the crimes. Hold on one second. Okay, so now what else I want to mention is the reason for my mother setting up this trust is because she has every intention of making sure I'm left with nothing, because that's what she's been doing my entire life, wants to make sure I have nothing, and has spent all these decades trying to financially wipe me out, placing delusional phone calls, using all these agencies and people to help her, and trying to make sure I have nothing, and also keeping my missing stolen trust fund from me while taking out everything I've personally worked for all along. So the reason for her setting up this trust is that way her house, all the money my dad worked for, whatever she has, and the money she stole from me, that way it's put into trust. So that way I get nothing. So once she is no longer here, I would receive nothing. And she's also doing this so that way, if she were to get caught, or if I were to find out this little bit of information or that way it's protected in the trust. It's protected in the trust because she stole all these assets. So she fraudulently moved everything into trust. It was set up fraudulently on several levels. And she's doing that to make sure that I don't receive what's rightfully mine. Because now at this point, because she's caused me to lose over $2 million in money that I've personally worked for, and all my time and energy and my health that I cannot get back, you cannot calculate exponential growth either. So if I had never been disrupted, if I'd never been wiped out, and if I was allowed to live my life like a normal person and build like a normal person, I would have had so much exponential growth. I would have probably been a multimillionaire, upwards of $8 to $10 million a long time ago, off of the exponential growth I would have had if there had never been any disruptions. So now at this point, because she doesn't have that many assets, she doesn't have anything to compensate me. She has nothing even near the number I would need to be compensated for what she's directly caused me to lose, on top of my missing stolen trust fund that still belongs to me. What's left of the trust, and what she stole originally along the way, and what's left of it. She doesn't even have enough outside of that money that she's worked for, or her and my dad, if you want to get all technical and put it all together as a marriage. There isn't enough money for her to even compensate me the $2 million that I've directly lost due to her escapades and crimes and harassment against me. So everything was moved into trust for that reason. So that way I wouldn't be able to get my hands on what's rightfully mine, what she owes for the escapades and crimes, and the missing stolen money that still belongs to me. That's the whole reason everything was moved into trust. There wouldn't be any reason to put it there otherwise, because I am their only child. But she's also been lying to everybody she knows about me, who I am as a person, what I have going on in life. So she's got to keep that false narrative going. And she's also causing distress by creating all these problems because she wants to see me suffer. She's a sick, deranged lunatic who causes all these problems and gets off on the suffering and the problems that she creates. So the whole point is to cause even further suffering and more problems down the line. Either way you look at it, that trust was created fraudulently. My money that's in it was stolen from me fraudulently. So regardless, it doesn't matter that it was moved into trust, because once things get to a certain degree and this entire case blows and goes public, it doesn't matter, because the money that's in there shouldn't be in there because it was stolen from me fraudulently to put in there. And I have enough proof that what was my dad's that was moved into there, that was also done fraudulently. And I have more than enough proof on that as well. Either way you look at it, what rightfully belongs to me should not be in there at all. So her intention behind all that and putting everything into trust was to make sure that I could not get my hands on what's rightfully mine. So now you have Jaime Fergus of Shea Law, and anybody else who's touched this account has also participated in this, because that woman had enough time to contact me and come clean with the truth, and she did not do that. So that means she's willingly participating in all of this. And so Shea Law is now responsible as well for part of my missing stolen trust fund. So I still have more people to expose. I'm literally just getting started. I know I've already exposed quite a few people and agencies, but I have a lot more to go. And I just wanted to kind of touch base on where all these stolen assets were moved to. And I've been aware of it for a couple of years. And I tracked it down a couple of years ago, and I'm aware that that's where some of my missing money is, because she took chunks of it along the way while she was portraying herself to have custody of my older two kids, and she slowly stacked it up on the side in a personal bank account that my dad had no idea that she had, and then waited till she stole my dad's assets and moved them all into trust for herself. So that's where I'm at with things. My money is there fraudulently, and I still also have the rest of the missing stolen trust fund that is owed to me. I'm not sure if the missing part that has not gotten in anybody's hands, I'm not sure if that amount is at Shea Law, but the amount my mother fraudulently got her hands on along the way is at Shea Law. So that's where I'm at with things, and I'm going to continue to keep exposing all of these lies and delusions and the crimes and everybody who's participated. I'll be back with more. Thanks. Bye.